morsel, and thank you for tuning in to Fright Night Radio. We love to bring you stories of fright every Friday night. Stories that are creepy, suspenseful, and most of all, frightful.
Angry eggs. Karen pointed one long fingernail at the price board and said, "Dottie, is that right? 4 scrambled eggs are $20 today?" "That's right," I told her. "Gary's in a bad way this morning." "Yeah? How bad?" "Had himself a nasty spat with Donna last night, so she done up and left." We both looked through the pass at Gary throwing things around at the grill and making a god-awful racket. He glanced up from his work long enough to give me the evil eye. "She left him? High and dry?" "Okay, I'm sold. Bring on them eggs." I laughed and moved on. I spotted my former gym teacher sitting at the counter. I called out, "How them eggs, Coach Manning?" The huge old man swiveled the bar stool to look my way. His steely eyes shone and the sides of his mouth rose as he rumbled,
"They're right fine, Miss Dottie. Right fine."
I smiled and said, "Glad to hear it." His eyes locked onto mine and I held my breath. Back when he was my teacher, he used to scare the bejesus out of me. And even now, when he was being friendly, that old fear gripped my heart. But then he flashed a final, predatory smile and turned back to his food. I ran off, but a moment later, a snooty voice summoned me. "Dorothy! I say, Dorothy!" It was Victoria, my frenemy from way back when. She had escaped up pissant town, but was now back, partly to take care of family matters, but mostly to crow about what a big shot she'd become. She was settled into a booth, a fancy mink taking up a seat all by itself. I sauntered over. "Victoria, what a pleasure to see—" "Dorothy, you must be kidding me. $20 for a plate full of eggs? I live in Manhattan and I don't pay that much." "You've been away," I said, flashing my trademark smile. "You don't know what's been happening around here. Now, you either shell out some big city bucks for these eggs or make room for paying customers." Her eyes flared at that. She probably wanted to cut me down to size, but she held back. My little restaurant, humble as it was the only place in town open for breakfast. She scanned the growing crowd. Word had gotten around town about Gary, even if Victoria was still in the dark. Finally, she heaved a great sigh and said, "Okay, whatever, give me the special." "It's not like I can't afford it. That's more like it," I said, then nodded toward her BMW out front, taking up 2 spaces. "And while you're waiting, kindly pull your car forward so someone else can park." I strode off before she could say another word. Times like this, it's good to be the owner. A line started at the door. I had Tiffany and Megan waiting tables, but sometimes it took a damn cattle prod to get any work out of them. I ran around taking more orders, running food and assuring everyone that, yeah, Gary really was in a bad way this morning. He's not a happy camper, I assured the Sullivans, a sweet old couple of regulars. They barely scraped by on fixed incomes, but once they heard the news about Gary, out came Mr. Sullivan's wallet. Later on, I swung by Karen's table again. "How'd you like them eggs? Were they worth the price?" She motioned me closer. "Honey," she said, "I'd blow a hobo for a second helping." I threw my head back and laughed. "Seriously, Dot, those eggs had me flying, but I'm already hungry again." A moment later, Victoria started waving around her gold card and demanding more eggs. I took her second order, but had her park her rich ass at the counter next to Mr. Manning to make room for more customers. She complied without a word, docile as a lamb. I caught Tiffany chit-chatting with a table of pretty boys. I flashed her a look that said, "Don't forget who signs the checks around here." She moved on, but real slow, putting on a little show for the boys. Before long, the line stretched down the block. Gary's voice roared from the kitchen.
Son of a bitch!
I seated a six-top and assured them, "Yeah, he's all riled up today."
Sounds like it.
His woman stormed off middle of the night.
I think we'll all have the eggs today.
Good call. A few tables paid up, one after another. The register was full, so I stowed a big wad of cash in the lockbox underneath. It was shaping up to be a fine morning. Tiffany sauntered by.
"Look at that line,"
she tittered.
"It's like a fish head concert."
I never had time for concerts, I told her.
"You should go sometime."
"You have an order up. Please grab it before it gets cold." She made a huff of exasperation that only a snot teen can make and set off for the pass. I seated more customers, ran coffee, and headed back to the kitchen just as the morning delivery arrived. Bacon, sausage, and lots of eggs. I gazed out through the pass. Tiffany and Megan chose this time to busy themselves pouring coffee, fetching hot sauce, and a dozen other piddly tasks. Figures. Gary swore.
"Goddamn short-staffed place, and I gotta do everything back here."
"I'm right here with you. And don't forget who signs your checks."
Whatever, Dot.
We hauled stock into the walk-in fridge. Gary returned to the grill, and I ran a loaded tray of orders to the six-top. $120 worth of scrambled eggs. Did these people have second thoughts about dropping all that money for breakfast? Sure they did. I could see it in their eyes, but only until they each took a nibble, at which point all doubt vanished. Customers shoveled eggs into their mouths and money rolled into the till. It was going splendid until I brought a new order to the pass and Gary snapped,
"Come smoke with me."
"Garrett, there's no time. In case you hadn't noticed..."
I said, smoke with me.
"Have you forgotten who signs the checks around here?" Gary said nothing, but pointed to the Fair Wage and Practices poster the law says I gotta keep plastered on the wall. I didn't have time for this shit, but it looked like Gary was at a boiling point. It was great that he was in a foul mood and all, but I couldn't risk having him walk. He stepped out to the back alley and lit up. "Damn, Garrett, what I said..."
Forget it.
"You're my friend, is what I mean to say. You and Donna both." Gary grunted at the mention of Donna.
Business sure has picked up today.
He said.
Something going on in town?
I breathed all nice and slow. "Not that I know of, Gary."
It's crazy busy. Lots of second helpings, third helpings. Weird, huh?
I made the most non-committal sound I could muster.
I'm guessing you know all about the fight Donna and I had. She crashed at your place last night?
She did.
You're like a sister to me, Dot. I can tell something is off. Seems whenever business picks up, you turn into a royal bitch.
Well, fuck you too, Gary.
Yeah. At first I figured you were just overworked, but that's not it. There's something else going on. Something you're not telling me.
You know that sign out front, Gary? The one that says Dottie's Diner? That means this is my business, and I don't need to tell you everything that goes on.
I thought we were friends, Dot.
The back door slammed open. It was Tiffany.
Sorry to interrupt, but customers are banging the tables. Like, literally,"
What?
said Gary.
"they want their eggs. Like now."
Tiffany ducked back inside.
Well, fuck me.
Said Gary. Guess we better get back to it.
The hell we better. I'm not going anywhere till you fess up and tell me what's going on. And don't bullshit me, Dot. It's like the whole town is in on some inside joke and I'm the butt of it.
I opened my mouth to give him the line about who signs the checks, but couldn't. He was my friend and he deserved more respect than that. I felt myself deflate like one of those 10 happy birthday balloons. I know I should have told you, but I simply didn't know how to put it.
Just talk to me. Damn, woman, we've known each other our whole lives.
I was afraid you'd get mad and storm off. And the money, I hate to say it, but the money is just too good to go and jinx it all. I made a lot of sacrifices for this place. You got your Fair Wage and Practices thing going on, but nobody gives a shit about the owner.
I didn't follow a single word of that, Dot.
I lit a fresh cigarette and took a long drag. I damn sure needed it. It's like this, Gary. Something strange has been going on with you the last few months. Don't interrupt. I gotta tell this my own way. It happens when you're in a bad mood.
You have bad moods too, little Miss Boss Lady.
I told you don't interrupt. Anyway, it's different with you. You ever hear of alchemy?
Isn't that where you turn lead into gold or something?
Yeah, and that's sort of what you're doing. Your anger does something to the eggs. Something chemical or magical or whatever. I won't pretend to understand, but the worse your mood gets, the angrier you get.
The better my food tastes? Is that what you're saying?
Just the eggs.
Great. The one food I'm allergic to.
So you've never eaten?
Hell no, I'm allergic. Besides, it's just eggs. Slap 'em on the grill, fry 'em up, no big deal.
Except it is a big deal. Your bad mood equals good eggs.
It's crazy, Dot.
Yeah, it is, but it's also true. Don't believe me? Just try and explain the mob we got out there this morning. That's all because of you.
Me?
Your mood. With Donna walking out on you the way she did. Shit, Garrett, those eggs must be like cocaine the way everyone's carrying on.
What do you mean, they must be? Haven't you had any yourself?
Eat my own profits? No way in hell, Gary, those eggs are valuable. I don't eat them, and I don't let those little twits out there eat them either. It's true. I'm charging a small fortune for each plateful, and people are paying up and begging for more. Gary didn't say a damned thing. So that's it. What do you think?
You're going around telling everyone what a prick I am. Yakking all about my private life, is that it? Also you can commit highway robbery?
Tiffany poked her head out again. You guys, the customer's going bonkers in here. I jacked the price again. What we at now? $30 a pop? And they're not batting an eye. Folks are like ready to sell their firstborn. Gary shot me a look that could wilt flowers and shoved past Tiffany into the kitchen. Tiffany's eyes went wide as poached eggs. You told him? He deserves to know. But nothing. Mind your business and remember who signs the checks around here. The little whore muttered something under her breath and stalked off. I remember a time when I would have scurried after to apologize, but that doesn't get you any respect. Now I had her and Gary both pissed off. Oh well, I had a diner to run. People don't seem to understand what that entails. All those customers, they can sit on their dead asses half the morning. And the people I pay good money to work, they can step out, light up whenever they damn well please. Must be nice. Gary wouldn't even look at me, but just went back to work, the cords of his neck bulging like steel cables. This was something beyond anger. What the hell with it? I stepped out to the dining room. I poured coffee and flashed my trademark smile and called people hun and hustled them eggs. Before long, it was pandemonium. Folks I'd known for years screamed in my face for more eggs. The entryway jammed up with customers in a fight brewed out by Victoria's fancy-ass BMW. Who the hell were all these people? I pushed through the crowd. People literally threw cash at me. Heading back to the pass, a hand grabbed my arm. It was Mrs. Murchison. She was one of my high school teachers way back when, but now she looked like some strung-out druggie, crazy eyes wide with desperation. Is it true? Is Gary really as wound up as everyone says he is? For a second, shame washed over me as I thought about all those times I gossiped about Gary's woes with such glee. And for what? To hawk a few eggs? To rake in some fat wads of cash? That's his own business, I told her. I'm sorry, Dot. I was just wondering. But then I thought about what Dottie's diner had cost me, not only in time and money, but life itself. While the privileged snots made their escape from this hick-ass town, I stayed on and built something. No college, no concerts, no aerobics classes, just work and greasy food, and my ass growing fatter with each passing year. Old Lady Murchison started to flit away, but I grabbed one of her scrawny wings and hauled her back. I spun her toward me, and she peered up like a scared little bird. He's furious, I growled. His woman blew her top last night and stormed off in the middle of the night. And just minutes ago, He and I got in a nasty little fight. He's at critical mass. You know what critical mass is? I know you do. Well, he's there, ready to go nuclear. Oh my. Oh my is right, hon. You get yourself some eggs while they last. $50 a plate. $50. Get 'em or get out. Then I shouted for everyone to hear, egg prices going up, $50 a pop. Pay up, folks, otherwise there's the door. Don't let it hit you on the ass on your way out. A bunch of folks grumbled, but nobody left. A feeling like nothing in this world poured through me. I had everyone in my grasp. Sometimes it really is good to be the boss. I strode back to the kitchen, the crowd parting for me like the Red Sea. Gary was frying eggs just as fast as he could go. No bacon, a toast, or oatmeal, just eggs. Hundreds and hundreds of eggs. Gary, he didn't look at me. I stepped closer. Every square inch of the grill was covered with scrambled eggs. Gary, off to my right, somebody squealed. It was Tiffany, cramming eggs from a plate into her mouth like she was starving. Damn it, I told you never to eat them. Tiffany devoured the last of the eggs. Then her eyes flashed toward the grill. She lunged for it, and I was barely able to hold her back. Her fingernails dug into my back, and it took all my strength to wrestle the little bitch out the back door. I gave her a good shove, and she went down hard in the alley. I pulled the door shut and slammed the bolt. Tiffany pounded the door and screamed, but I felt nothing but nasty satisfaction. $50 for them eggs, hon, coming right out of your paycheck. Customers were shouting at the door between the dining area and the kitchen. Gary worked full speed, slapping eggs on the grill, scrambling them up and throwing them on plates. Megan had to wrestle the customers at the pass for the food. I didn't recognize my customers, or Gary, or Megan. I passed a mirror and didn't recognize the haggard sow who glared back. I looked at the grill full of eggs. It was my restaurant, in my grill. Those were damn sure my eggs. I grabbed a fork and stepped closer. Gary ignored me and I ignored him. I could feel the fury pouring off him like black smoke. I stabbed my fork into some scrambled eggs. All this fuss over these stupid eggs, it made no sense. I brought the fork to my mouth. The eggs tasted like heaven. They tasted like all the lost years of my life being returned to me in a fancy gift box with a pretty little bow on top. I dropped the damn fork and scooped eggs off the grill with my hands. The metal burned my skin, but I ignored the pain and crammed the damn things into my mouth. All my sacrifices were for this glorious moment. The eggs made everything okay. I wept and ate and wept. I was vaguely aware of a big commotion in the dining room. Megan was lost somewhere in the throng. Then the crowd pushed into the kitchen. My kitchen, shoving me aside like I was nobody. Greedy hands scooped eggs from the grill while Gary screamed and swore. He tried to get away, but of course they wouldn't let him. The mob held him there at the grill and made him cook. No bacon, no toast, just lots and lots of eggs. Somebody I only vaguely recognized as Megan tore the Fair Wage and Practices poster from the wall and shoved it into a trash can. It didn't take long for the glorious feelings to drain away. But all I needed to get it back was just a few more eggs. I tried to fight my way to the grill, but a solid wall of bodies blocked my way. I screamed, "This is my damn place! Out of my way!" Nobody listened, nobody cared. Just as it was starting to look like a riot was going to break out in my tiny restaurant, the blast of a starter whistle cut through the pandemonium like a knife. I recognized that sound, and I was far from alone. A moment later, Coach Manning came striding into the kitchen, flanked by two hulking former linebackers. The crowd parted for them, as it had for me just a few minutes before. A few customers started to grumble, but that stopped right quick when Coach Manning bellowed out,
"Everybody, pipe the fuck down. Now."
He surveyed the kitchen briefly, then called out,
"You there, on the grill. What's the supply situation?" Supply?
Gary croaked.
Eggs, boy. How many eggs we got left?
Gary smiled as he said,
Damn near out.
This didn't seem to bother Coach Manning one bit. His sharp eyes picked Victoria out of the crowd in a heartbeat. He locked his gaze on her and barked,
Over here. Front and center.
Victoria sneered. Do not speak. The linebackers grabbed hold of her arms and she shut right up. The whole place went dead quiet as the muscular young men marched Victoria over to their coach. My former gym teacher spoke into the silence.
I noticed earlier you had a gold card. Is that right?
Victoria's jaw clenched in defiance, but only until one of the linebackers twisted an arm. Then she squeaked, Yes. Yes, I have a gold card.
Good.
Rumbled Manning.
That's very good.
Then to the linebackers,
Take her over to that phone there, man.
You got it, Coach, one of them said, and they marched her over to my office phone. Things got ugly after that. So very ugly. A new power structure had formed, and it certainly didn't include me. It was based on brute force and was headed by Coach Manning. Under his command, somebody locked the doors, instantly turning Dottie's Diner into a prison. The linebackers held Victoria's arm behind her back and made her call the local farms to order more eggs. Lots and lots more eggs. She wept and used her gold card. She paid a hefty surcharge to get an immediate delivery. I looked on in shame and horror. I didn't particularly like Victoria, but she damn sure didn't deserve to be treated like this. After the order was placed, Manning and his lieutenants ate. Victoria was given a small plate of eggs, which she devoured as if starving. Manning brought a plateful over to me and said, Friendly as you please now.
Here you go, Miss Dottie. No hard feelings, I hope.
I wanted to knock that plate onto the floor. I wanted to throw those eggs in his face. Instead, I ate. I had to escape the horror of what Dottie's Diner had become. I ate and slipped into bliss, if only for a few minutes. It was afternoon when the delivery truck pulled up. I stepped out back just as John was stepping from the cab of the truck.
A lot of eggs today, eh, Dot?
He said. I gave him a tight smile and said nothing. He smiled back uncomfortably, opened the back of the truck and pulled out the ramp. Coach Manning stepped outside and watched hungrily as John loaded a two-wheel dolly with 6 crates full of eggs. John brought the delivery inside, then quickly fled the desperate, silent, hungry gazes of my customers. Coach Manning and his henchmen went back to forcing Gary to cook more eggs. This time there was plenty, and so everyone fed. We ate until we could eat no more, but soon after we fed again. Manning posted a guard on Gary. As afternoon gave way to night, he posted a new guard. Everybody but Gary fed through the night, devouring the rest of the eggs. But that didn't matter because another delivery came first thing in the morning. Gary was allowed to rest, but only briefly. Allergic to eggs, he got by on toast and coffee. As time went on, my old friend became a gaunt, emaciated thing. But the more he suffered, the better those eggs tasted. When somebody handed me a plate full of eggs, I knew it was my only escape from the shame and self-loathing that burned within me. Gary stood, swaying at the grill, hour after hour. Then his sunken, desperate eyes found mine. I knew what he was planning. And I finally found something good and decent and strong inside myself. I smiled sadly and nodded my head. Fuck these eggs and the hand that laid them. I had a full plate of eggs in hand, but didn't even touch them. Instead, I hurled the plate away across the kitchen. It landed with a crash. Coach Manning, who was just walking to the grill for a fresh serving, glanced over at the sound. The old coach was distracted for only a moment, but that's all Gary needed. His arm whipped around like a released spring. The metal spatula in his hand smacked Manning's face so hard it sounded like a gunshot. The coach stumbled backward. The linebacker guarding Gary reached out to catch his coach, and they both tumbled to the floor. Then, Gary stuck a fork full of eggs into his mouth and swallowed. I awake with Gary's hand in mine. I almost scream, sure that I'm back in the nightmare my restaurant had become. But then I look up into Gary's tired but smiling face. He's in a hospital bed, and I'm slumped in a chair next to it. Monitors beep, an IV drips. My mind pieces everything together, and all I can do is whisper, "Oh, Gary, I'm so sorry." Gary had gone into anaphylactic shock as soon as he took that bite of egg, and all hell broke loose after that. It was like we all awoke from a nightmare full of monsters, only to find that it was real, and we were the monsters. I distantly recalled crawling through the pandemonium to the office phone to punch in 911. When the operator came on, I didn't say a word, but left the line open so she could hear the shouting, screaming, crashing, and cursing that boomed through Dottie's diner. Emergency vehicles raced over in record time. "I'm so sorry," I whisper again, pressing my forehead to his hand, while the machines go beep, beep, beep. He gives my hand a gentle squeeze and tells me there is nothing to be sorry about. I weep and beg forgiveness. He's trying to speak again, but his voice comes out as a dry rasp. I pour him some water, and he drinks. He pulls my hand closer, plants a kiss on the knuckles, and says,
Dot,
"Yes, Gary?"
I expect
"Yes, Gary. What do you expect?"
for all this shit, Dottie, I expect a ton of overtime pay.
Thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode of Fright Night Radio. If you enjoyed our story, please give us a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe to our channel so you enjoy a frightful new tale every Friday night. Pleasant dreams.